So all things being equal, the next two games are exactly opposite of Spurs for Newcastle. Everton away, Southampton at home. Two sides currently, as we speak, in the bottom three, fighting for their very lives, but as we famously say, down there for a reason. And can't hold a candle to Newcastle United. Newcastle United's top four. They're bottom three, both of them. But you've still got to go out and do it on the day, because at least you'll get some fight out of both those clubs, and you've got to match that and overcome them despite that. Because the biggest thing in these two matches is the fight that they will produce. And in Everton's case, the help they'll get from the crowd. Southampton are ways, but Everton will get some help from the crowd. But if you look at us on Sunday, dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, we should be strutting down to Goodison.
We should, but I'm sure, as Eddie Howe will be telling the players this week, is that you can't get complacent. You can't rest on your laurels. You know, this is a totally different game, as you mentioned there. How easy will it be for Eddie Howe to drill that message into the players? You know, Sunday against Spurs, you were brilliant, but that's gone now. That's in the past. We're against Everton, as you say, at home at Goodison, fans behind them, scrapping for their lives. Totally different game. How easy will it be for Eddie Howe to make sure his players do not get complacent?
Dead easy, because they're not that way inclined to start with. Each and every one of them are not that way inclined. People like Almiron and Joe Linton and Shaw, if he's there, bless him, etc., know the bad times at Newcastle. So the Champions League must be as much utopia to them as it is to us. People like Botman and Bruno have never been big time Champions League, big time with a 50,000 following club. I'm talking about, not playing in fans. They have, so that's new to them. Trippier is the only one that knows what it's all about, really. And by Jove, what an excellent leader he is. His feet will never leave the ground, and he'll make certain other people's doesn't either. So I think it's one of the easiest tasks Eddie Howe has. And I think the exact opposite way on it was an easy task as well. They were so almost humiliated as a one-off by their lack of performance at Aston Villa, and as a one-off it can happen, that I think it was very easy for Eddie to turn the clock and make them think, right, that's yesterday's news. Today's news is we go out against Spurs and we put them to the book. I think he's already got that in his squad. I call it the Three Musketeers squad, one for all for one. And that is the way Newcastle United are. And by the way, didn't it show that is the way Spurs aren't? And that was the huge difference between the two sides.
Well, you said it last week. You know, there's one thing Newcastle have got in abundance that Spurs don't have, and is that unity on the pitch. And you were spot on, John. So I don't like to say that too often, but you were
You
right.
don't say it too often, but yes, it's true of Spurs, and that's one of the problems that they've got. But that's their problem. That's not our problem. But I think Everton will certainly match us mentally much more than Spurs did. They'll give it a go, but they haven't got the equipment. If we match them in attitude, and I don't doubt for 1 second we will, we've got more in our armory than they've got in theirs, without a shadow of doubt.
Yeah, I expect them to be much more unified on the pitch than Spurs. Whereas we talked about the goals that they've scored, John, Everton. And it's funny, I've just brought up the stats here. Anthony Gordon remains their third top goal scorer this season with 3 goals. That tells you a story about how bad it is for Everton. They've got Damari Gray top with 6 goals. He can't even get in the starting 11. I know he started the last game, but they're expecting players back. So with everyone fit, he's unlikely to start, I think. Decore, a good player in that midfield. But, no one scored more than 6 goals in the league.